So before we go into kind of our anarchiving session where we start working with some circus floor work and we're kind of moving in that practice of resonance making, I wanted to look together at what was kind of made and deposited yesterday. So I'm going to, yes, that's perfectly ready. I'm going to share the screen. Lovely. So, and I think it's interesting that already, even after one day of kind of co-creation, like it's already, at least in me, I don't know how it is in you, but it's already kind of like so piling up. There's so many fabulous things, that I today during the interview, I felt really like one of the greedy kids in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, there's so many candies to grab. And so I wanted to just note that to myself and to anybody else that's useful for, that it's that's why actually we inscribe and kind of publish forward in the Anarchive these fragments, so that we can also let go, and move other places, and let things dissolve, and trust that they'll be picked up in the multi-perspectival machine that we're kind of building together here. And then the other thing I wanted to say was, in the kind of spirit of the Anarchive, I would say that these fragments, I would invite us to kind of contemplate them rather than analyze them, or rather than conceptualize them even, to not try to enclose them into what they might appear like, but to contemplate them as what they are, which is fragments from a moment now time traveling to here and impacting how we think and what the event of today is. So I wanted to give them some due moment, and so let's kind of go through them, and you guys in Stockholm are looking, and I'll have a tendency to narrate, but I'll try not to narrate. But David, would you mind just reading this quote out loud?
Of course. She likes to juggle. Instead of balls or batons, she practices with 4 or 5 perceptual experiences at once. She drops balls, but it doesn't matter. She retrieves them when their absence is noticed. The director should know she prefers juggling to catching the ball. There is no time to capture or translate when someone is juggling. This freedom from knowing arouses the curiosity that precedes question making. And this is where she feels performance lives. That's Deborah Hay. Every time the camera turns and he's already there. Reach up through the self and you might find another self. Reach up through the other self and you might find a world. Reach up through the world and you might find another self. Reach up through the other self and you might find a world. At what point does repetition fail?
The screen is. This was from Anton, who I think will join us a little later. So yeah, just kind of taking in these things. as we go through them. Yeah, and there are some annotating tools as well too. Didn't mean to move that. Here comes the balloon. And so I don't even know exactly how to do this, but I would say about this is a fragment that I made, and I wanted to say maybe I can ask them afterwards when they're in the camera. But Patrick and Emile, this came out of feeling from Emile like this falling water, this in the movement, and feeling in Patrick this snap, or this like different images of traps snapping shut. I don't want to say too much about it, but I guess over we can. That's the part that I don't really know, in terms, and that's what we figure out together. They are already calling out for something, these fragments. And then I have some notes from things Catherine was saying that were incredible that I want to keep working with myself, and I put them in there so that others could grab them. What was the phrase that you invented, Catherine? That then you found out was invented elsewhere, and then wait.
It was called the fat moment.
The fat moment.
Yeah.
That's funny. I don't even think you said it yesterday, did you? It was just the event of the thing. Yeah, the fat moment.
The fat moment.
Catherine, how do you do that? Are you writing with? Are you writing directly in Zoom right now, or?
It's in the it's in Zoom. It's in the annotate function in the. There you go.
You go up to the. Did you find it? Yeah. You go up to the where it says that he's sharing his screen, and it's options on the right, and go choose.
Annotate. Got it. Got it.
Oh, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's
once I was giving a talk, and some right-wing people jumped in and they started drawing dicks on the screen. They took control of the Zoom call, and I didn't understand quite how they did that.
Yeah.
And now I'm triggered. I see you doing it. I'm like, whoa.
I have screenshots of that, Erik.
Oh yeah, you were on that call, huh?
Yeah.
You were on that call, yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, Nick's like, I'm gonna make a fragment out of that.
Totally, that's what I did.
It was a conference with GCAS, the Global Center for Advanced Studies.
Anique, do you want to read
Doesn't sound
this
very
little one?
The David Walker Fragment 3?
Yes.
Static electricity fried the thing. Rock and roll techno. Poke at it. Snap versus fall.
Okay, now I'm going to clear these. Clear this so we can see this one. Teresa, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Would you like to read the text on this one, or it's up to you?
Yeah, I can read. I just have to zoom in a little bit because I'm a little bit blind.
I know. I had to zoom in yesterday. I was like, it's so pretty, nice and small, right? It's just, yeah.
Wait, give me a second. I have the man on the moon on the man. What if there was no gravity? My breath would go high, my moves would go low, only my eyeballs would snap fast. Determination makes me go slow. Welcome mistakes, pause.
This is gorgeous. I didn't see the moon on the man. That's incredible. Catherine was doing all sorts of overlay from her own video and feeding through the main video and back, bringing these incredible textures of interweaving. And just give space to encounter the image. I really like this one here. Is that Puck there doing a?
It's me. Yeah, that's Puck. Emil is claiming it's him, but it's not.
Oops. Erik, you want to read that one? If you're there.
Throwing the world through your elbow, you poetically grab me asunder under.
This is from Gabriel.
Who made that?
That's from Gabriel.
Yeah, that's me. And I thought about on the left, the saint, on the right, the clown, because there was this picture when he had this, how is called it, a circle-shaped thing they throw in the air around his neck, resting. And yeah, it's just
That's
this connection between the saint and the clown and what.
Yeah, I was mentioning also this morning, Gabriel, that because there was a great comment about the Anarchive is not at all just digital, and how you were like, and how we bring our practices, and you're like, oh, I like to move with the pen or the pencil, and then you brought it in later.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mentioned it yesterday. In the beginning, I observed that due to gravity, these rings had only two positions where they could be. Of course, they can lie, and then they are like horizontal. and then he balanced it on his head, and but he needs some attention to, you know, have it vertical. So there is the consciousness needs to be there, or the attention. And I never saw one resting in this diagonal way, and that's the fiction. And the fiction became possible through the camera, because the camera then could show us diagonal angles. Very simple observation.
Oh, and I love this as a more propositional, like before analyzed, like just this relaxed attention fiction. You know, it's beautiful. That's a good prompt to make the fiction happen.
And it would be fun if those two were mixed, Gabriel, where you had kind of, you know how they have the cartoons are made from originally from like paper books that you could go like this, and so you could see the saint transform into the clown, which are not necessarily binary opposites, and just
exactly
really fast, like you start drawing it and the other person says saint, god, hierarchy, Indian, apple, you know.
Yes. Yeah, and this was just, I don't know, but very immediate reactions, you know, like what if we throw the camera in the air, you know? Well, yeah, so these are juggling cameras.
Very multi-perspectival, isn't it? This is gorgeous. This is gorgeous.
Okay, I thought about combining practices. So when he mentioned that this juggling really depends on gravity, well, I did contact improvisation myself a while, and it's a lot about gravity as well, because it's about falling, and you lean on each other or you help each other falling. So this is a proposition. How can you, or would it be possible to combine this both moving practices, contact improvisation and juggling, which are both kind of based on gravity?
Yeah, and it's also kind of its own. If you weren't here, it would just make an impact. You know, what would it? Yes. What would it do with? Because it's powerful. You didn't say anything about it yesterday, and there's so many places it brings me in relation to what we're doing.
Oh, I'm happy. Yeah, this is then the power of drawing. Now that it's like, yeah, just
absolutely. Can't steal my process. The line, for those who weren't there, is a line from this morning. Vasco da Gama and his simplistic oceanic cartography. Can I have one? The Zamarin of Calicut. You can take our pepper, but you can never take our rains. I love this. Would someone like to read the text in the screenshot?
Yeah, I can squint at it. Why does it matter that it's balanced on his head? It matters because it's balanced on his head. Can I quote someone out of context? The artists formerly known as the audience. A complicated sculpture on my head. A complicated sculpture in my head.
It reminds me of that lovely phrase yesterday, something that you wrote in the chat, I think, Joel. Something changed when you went around my neck.
Yeah. Yeah, which was like a quote of Jay or Patrick talking about and then you re-put it into something fabulous. I forget what. I have those chats saved too.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. But I think
Do
to
you
have a
want to read
good
the want to read the words, Gabriel?
Yeah, okay. Well, it started high, low, fast, slow. And then I realized you need 3 balls to have a really, like a real juggling experience. So I invented more of these, and I had hard and easy, mistakes and perfection. Because while observing myself watching, I realized that I loved when they made some mistakes, or like it was always, you know, interesting to see how they react. So I think the balance between mistakes and perfection is interesting. Yeah, and then composed, improvised, simple and complicated.
It's beautiful. And I love too what the drawing brings there in these kind of, when we're talking about things that are the you know, the matter is the specter of perfection, the specter of you know, of whatever the ideal within like a structured thing.
Yeah.
But then I love what the drawn line does to me in that moment. This is gorgeous. Teresa, will you?
Yeah.
I'll
So
zoom in, should I?
if you want for the others, I have my own.
You have a special copy.
I have the original copy.
Wow, it must be very valuable.
So this was about the 3D, when there was a task of the 3D, and then I was considering some words of J, and says 3D, the void that is created when I lose sight of the object brings back to me the sense of volume, or rather the absence of it. And then the mic is on, I can still hear the catch. And it was strong to me when they were struggling so much to find this 3D of juggling. And there was so much there about the volume and the weight and the sound that for me was giving me a 3D. And somehow I was trying to, yeah, to put it there in the fragment.
And then this lovely image of them working their own corners for a minute. You like to read that, Catherine? Part of your fragment?
Sure. I just want to mention that the pictures that I took, I didn't organize them. They organized themselves based on the size of the screenshot I had taken to integrate it into. So I love the way they turned out without any control on my part.
Mm.
Quote. Wanted to pass sounds and smells into the fragments. Toast, cooking, wind blowing, cinnamon baking, coffee in my cup and yours. Pour from one Zoom rectangle to another's. Your image vibrating from the techno. How does that work?
Oh, new one. Wow. Would someone like to read the text aloud that appears here? Beautiful.
I can.
Yeah.
I can read, I think. Let me just read from the document itself. And there's a lot of details in that image. So cosmopolitical, a vessel that allows us to exist in time. The loop, the loo, vibe of the tribe, archival ballasts so we don't tip over. I really like this fragment. It's really I really like that we can have this process of collective memory formation in real time.
That's right.
It's really powerful. So thanks a lot, Catherine, for this one. And
Yeah.
I just added. I took a series of. I feel like so unable to do the proper work of an archiving. That's I guess stupid of me. But I yesterday I followed a lot of what Catherine was doing with the image. So I'm posting now. So this is Catherine juggling. And there was I have a few other images that I'm going to add now. There is
that Catherine. Is that Catherine juggling with Gabriel's spheres?
You need to ask Catherine. I'm not sure exactly if it is.
Yeah.
That would have been really talented of me. No,
Yeah.
I went. That was when we were watching Joel and his team do the 3 rings, and I just grabbed 3 cotton pads and started playing with them.
Oh, that's like your thumb on there. Okay, I thought that was
And
like
it's
this
on
cool.
and the background is that what other people noticed. I think it was David that wrote about it. These incredible hieroglyphics on their camera. I just thought they were so cool. So the squares behind or encrusted behind is actually the image, a very small image of what they were of their camera.
Yeah, all that cool lattice work.
Yeah.
That was cool. Wow, and gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen share.
Spectral Jewel here.
Spectral.
I don't know if
Lovely.
you see I'm just adding them now. There's some Spectral Jewel pictures.
Oh, really? It's exciting. So I don't see them yet, but I'm looking forward
they're
to
on
it.
their way.
They're on their way. Yeah. Wonderful. So I wanted to kind of slow us down there for a minute, or in a different way, to experiment with what it is to move in appreciation. You know what I mean? Like Erik said, it's like, wow, this is a collective memory formation, of the event, which is the artistic practices of all of us, but with a lean onto the circus floor work, but not only that, not over objectifying that, but rather taking it in a kind of a co-creative swell of loops. And it's exciting to me that already, I think when the fragments start to take on a character, how they propel us forward is already what's happening naturally, because it's already part of artistic practice more generally, which is that we're looping in, threading in things. And all of you guys are so fabulous at doing that. So that's on one hand, you could call it referencing in, but that's an art, how you do that, how you thread it through, which of course relates to the specific media and all of our specific practices. But there is already, and already something building there. And so the point of contemplation rather than analysis is like that E.Glissant quote that Erik posted, right? the attempt to approach a reality so hidden from view cannot be organized in terms of a series of clarifications, right? But to move I'll just finish, to move with the unknown, unknowable, as a force that you move with as unknowable, but still moving with and still making these traces and moving forward is a way to still have a choreography without clamping down and taking away the movement. Yeah, Erik?
Just to add to the loop here, the quote was from Joel as I relayed the conversation that I had with Gayatri after the first day. Just for coming full circle here. So yeah, the whole theme of opacity as a way to say we are not trying to know too fast, or we open up the process of knowing and stay with the trouble of not knowing, I guess is one way, or it's one of the things that I cherish the most in the process that is being open now together. It's like knowing is a bit overrated sometimes, like as if we were always supposed to know, and it's, yeah. So I mean, Joel says it in hundreds beautiful ways, but I think it's important that there's something there that starts to take shape, and I love how Gayatri relayed that to the Cosmo earlier on. That was a this morning conversation.
Yeah, it was a beautiful. Yeah, Gayatri, it kind of said in like 2 sentences what I really attempt to say in like a whole one of my chapters in my. So that was an incredible magic trick of the itself. So yeah, now I'd like to kind of just before we go into the Anarchive, I want to open it up a little bit to there in Stockholm, because you guys, and to all of us, to kind of see like what we just had our first dip our toes together, all of us really together that are here, into that little bit of contemplation of that. And I know you guys were maybe wondering what we were up to. You know, we should have projected a big screen of us there. So, but yeah, just want to open it up for like doesn't have to have any like, oh, I know what that means. But if there is some resonances or things that make you think something, I'd be interested in kind of starting from that general of a place just for a minute.
Should I say something?
Yeah.
You're Nathan. Yeah.
I mean, when we're talking about like all the ambiguity that comes with the fragments and the not knowing, like Erik was saying, I mean, just on our end, listening to everybody talk about their own fragment was really, I mean, good, which is such a lame, yeah, useful, or like revealing would be the word.
Yes.
So hearing everybody's comments about their fragments, like gave them instant kind of depth. And again, maybe this is on a shorter time frame, right? So we had a more instant gratification, but I don't think so. Like, I don't think it necessarily, you know, clarified everything, but it definitely made it more alive just to hear everybody's comments in the moment about their own fragments. Obviously, it talks a lot about that person too, and you get to know them a little bit better and a little bit more of the context of where that fragment came from. But yeah, I thought that was kind of a rare opportunity, I guess, that, you know, in the larger picture of talking about anarchiving and fragments, we didn't really, Joel, I haven't really talked to you ever about that, about having that opportunity of having the author of the fragment to give a commentary on it when you look at it.
Yeah. That
moment before. So that's what we were talking about over here with our mic muted.
That's what you're talking about. That's cool.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, from our end, I don't know. I think another good place, if you want to keep a flow going, you could ask Emil and Patrick maybe this is the moment to dive into your water snap, if you want. Go.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, and then people can, and then we'll, yeah. I mean, this is what I love about the whole proposition of the Anarchive and labbing it, is that there are certain points where, just like how you were feeling yesterday, like I don't really actually know where to go from here. That to me is super exciting, and I love, especially within academia and arts, what something like contemplation does for me. There's probably a variety of contemplative practices here represented in people who are here right now, and so it always brings me into another space, where when I see these fragments, I take them reverently, if I can say it that way. I take them reverently because they are connected to what was there and what was alive there and what's reaching forward. And so I think I'm also right now a little bit in the buzz of like, wow, and just kind of a little bit in reverence and a little bit inching towards the curiousness, which is where we will go into our next session. But anyway, I'm just grateful to be experimenting with every part of this kind of thing with all of you. So yeah, let me, so Emile and Patrick, I was the first half of the Anarchive session yesterday. I was kind of really, really struck by this experience, which I showed, and I will show again here. Here we go. In getting to kind of experience you guys doing some of your work and going into the improvisation and repetitions, and like I said, it was such a strong experience that it almost overtook all the other sensations that I was going through, and that was that Emile, like your relation to the rings and your movement, there was almost no like percussivity. It was all this kind of waiting for the things to fall, or being with the things to fall. Like falling water was all I kept seeing, and you would change the moves you were doing, and then there would be these moments where that element would come back, that curiosity in your body or in your technique. And then Patrick, it was like I said, and so I was seeing lots of those images there. And Patrick, I was like really flooded with images of, like I said, like the Venus flytrap had the bear trap, had like the mouse trap, like these things that were like snap, 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 and it was very percussive, and things came to a close with a definitiveness and with and they were both so different, and they both kind of moved across different things that Jay would throw at you. And so I asked Jay if he thought it would be all right to ask you guys, like, to say a little bit about, like, do you resonate with that experience that I'm sharing, and in terms of your guys' practices and where you're going and what you're interested in and curious about. Is there something in those descriptions that would make you want to say something about your own practice and where you're curious about?
Yeah, that snap stuff you do, is that like you do that intentionally, or it's just out of your own?
No, I really enjoy doing that. I like the sounds of the rings when they hit each other, and it's I didn't think about the differences, the big differences in our styles yesterday when we were in the studio working, but now when you mention it, it's fun to hear. Just the thing you said about like Emile's part not being percussive. And I mean, it's such a clear thing, but I didn't think for a second about that yesterday.
Yeah.
But like our styles are so different. They really are.
But do you actively try to find things that snap the rings or make them hit together? Or is it more or is it more intuitive? Or do you have to go back sometimes and be like, oh, I need more snap?
No, it's more intuitive, I think. And when I find those moments, I try to make them bigger.
Oh, okay.
Like instead of being careful doing it, I like to.
Oh, that's cool.
Make it like.
Oh yeah, that's
like
cool.
Hard as possible. Yeah. The harder you. More of a snap you get, and I think.
But that's so cool that you don't actively search out the snap. You let the snap exist in this organic form, but then you highlight it. I think that's really important. So it's not like a gratuitous like snapping for no reason.
No.
Ah, that's cool.
And you like the kind of the feeling, the aesthetic of also, like you said, the little bit of the roughness when you really reach, when you push something a bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's cool.
I feel like I get so much more out of it somehow.
Mm.
Yeah. It's like it's easier to express my juggling with the use of that kind of, if that makes any sense.
Mm. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And if I could, so is there anything else besides the slap or snap that's kind of similar, that's identifying, like, that's making your juggling possible? Is there some other characteristic or trait that you know of? There doesn't have to be.
Not consciously. I'm sure there are a
Right.
bunch of them, but not consciously.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't even thought, I mean, it feels ridiculous to say, but I haven't even thought about what we just talked about.
Right.
It just happens naturally to me.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for thinking into it
Thank you.
with us.
When you think of it.
How about you, Emil? How does it? Yeah, what's running through your head?
So juggling is throwing and catching objects, and so balance is constantly throwing and catching. So it's the most intense type of juggling. So yeah, it's constant throwing, constant catching. So that got me really interested in researching it.
And do you think about your stuff it's falling all the time? Do you notice the falling moments like that? Like it does visually stick out. Like when Joel highlights the stuff about Patrick, you see it instantly. And when he says the water comment about you, I see it instantly.
Right.
But do you conceive of your work as a lot of falling moments?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I like balance is, you start to learn balance, it goes really big falls and really big catching the balance. And then as you do it for thousands of hours, it's super tiny. And it's really nice to find that moment of is it possible? Like you're just there in the straight line from top of the ring to the bottom of your foot. But then the pictures and what we would say, the structures I create, it's nice to build it up and then push it so it falls. So yeah, it's a picture of decaying. I've been researching.
Of decaying.
Yeah.
Of like falling apart and that moment.
Yeah, the physical structure is decaying. So you build up a structure of rings which you balance, and then does it fall apart, or how does it decay or break down?
Yeah, and then there was this moment in one of your routines, this incredible moment where you have a couple structures of the rings, and then you flip one so that and then it lands. It actually does an acrobatic move on, and then you flip the other one, and it is this incredible moment where everything's macro with your body and the rings, and all of a sudden you're watching a circus thing, and there's like a micro circus on top of your head.
Yes.
Like and then the perception zooms in naturally, right? And yeah,
man,
that sounds so cool.
It's so wild. Like Joel, it's so wild to hear these comments, because I've been really obsessed for a long time, for years now, with the intention of what we think we're doing versus what you see that we're doing. And so that you say all these comments, they're so completely revealing and bizarre and amazing, because like right, it's shocking, right?
Like because you're into this world so much, and everything you do 24/7 is around this thing, so you forget a bunch of other things that's happening in the world, which is lovely in itself, but you don't this thing you're doing is not relating to anything else. And then you come in and describing the thing with words that we all know and have a relationship to, and going, oh, this is how you can describe it, which is, it's amazing to hear how it's viewed from outside. Because for me, as an juggler, going this deep, it's impossible for me to step outside and look from it. Like, I can't do that. It would be impossible to do both things.
But that's why like the Anarchive and this discussion with all these people is such a gift, but I mean a gift, but also it's just out of the regular rhythm of our practice as artists, as circus performers. We create the performance, we practice the technique, we do the performance, and then it's kind of our meeting with the audience is done. Now we have this really rare opportunity to meet an audience and not only just meet them, but have a real dialogue with them through this Zoom lab, but also with the Anarchive potentially in the future, right? That's like an extra layer or an extra step in our artistic practice that we would not normally ever engage or, yeah.
You put your fingers so right on it for me, Jay. Like, then that's part of how I like a little bit of the fabulation that, in the near future, there are anarchivists involved in the production layer of performances, in the gift ecology. Because I was thinking that too. Felt like it was such a gift yesterday when you guys gave to us, and I feel the generosity flowing from us to each other and to you guys as well. That in the production line and the experience of the people in the production line of artistic production, there are experiences we don't have because it's one way. Doesn't mean that's all bad or anything, but we're kind of experimenting with how something we call the anarchive or anarchival practices could open up some different experiences. In this case, yeah, it's like, oh, you can have, what if you guys had more access to more qualitative expressions of what you were putting out there? And what if it was feeding back and through, what would that I guess there's no answer to that necessarily, but what would that be like? I guess it's because I still feel there's the other move that really resonates with me still is, Patrick, like that at the end of the one when you had all the 5 rings together across, and then you again like snap them up, but instead of one snap, they kind of exploded out.
Oh yeah.
Right. That was I was just like bloom, it was like some kind of, it was just bloom. So these are our fragments, and they're of what happened, and also who we all are too in our practices. So what you said, Jay, is just like that's what I'm really curious about, actually. Like, this is an interesting relation.
I mean, we have in the, in the culture, these things, maybe an outside eye or a director, but there's just such a different agenda with that kind of work, it seems. Like now you are literally an outside eye, but it seems that your motivations and your intentions and your observations and everything, your context is completely different than those kind of more, those more traditional roles of like a director who's supposed to kind of observe from the outside and then poke into the middle of what's actually happening. But this is in a totally different way. And I don't have the language right now to uncover that, but.
And others jump in, but I'm thinking of what you said before about how like the artistic director who has the Bible, and they're motivated to make their mark and to make money, and we can still have some element of there being value creation. I think that's what the third lab is really about, and we want to figure out how to gesture to that now. But there is you're so right. There is something to we talked a little bit yesterday about there being like, I'm very much of the post-critical school, that critique is something that comes in and wants to say, do this differently, or analysis wants to come and be like, this is what this is, you better agree. Whereas the anarchive multi-perspectival expression resonance around a performance makes a different scenario in which, you shouldn't feel the vibes of like, these expressions are not telling you guys to do something differently, and my fragment's not telling Erik's fragment to do something differently, Anique's is not. They might propose something, right? But it doesn't have that power, and it shouldn't have that power thing of. I think that's a wonderful thing to not have there, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, more feedback through words.
Can
What's
I
that?
ask something?
I just missed what someone.
More feedback through art. Art should be answered with art.
Beautifully said. Yeah. Say so. Gabriel.
I mean, half of my time I work on a music school where there are a lot of practitioners that are, I think, similarly immersed in practicing their instruments, because it's also depends on a bodily very high skills. And how was this described, that you're so much in your world with juggling, so it creates its own world. So I'm interested, is there an interest or a need from yourself, from your own practice, to connect to this other art? Or when you say because as I understood now, the setup was you do your training, okay, and now we kind of, okay, use this for this Anarchive Lab and we see what happens. But the drive, if I understood, came not from out of your own practice. So I'm really, it's an honest question, if like, is this a wish? Because I can imagine, and this is what I see with the musicians, it's such a rewarding thing, you know? You do something with your body, you do brilliant things, it's magic, we all get seduced. And so do you need this outside thing? Do you feel it's important to connect to other fields of art or knowledge? Or maybe not, you know, maybe even not, and to stay. Yeah, so yeah, I would like to hear some of, out of your own practice, the view on it.
Well, if for me, I'd say I definitely need that input sometimes, but then I also need the opportunity to go into my own world and just get lost in myself and my own work. But to get that input a little now and then, or to get that feedback or whatever we want to call it, I would say it's very useful. Yeah, go on.
Thanks. Yes, from time to time, I came out a year ago. I came out of a 6-year research about balance and ring juggling, and then I had a premiere of a piece, and then afterwards I've been practicing. But then I would feel I've been really much in my own world during that research. But then now, for example, in this moment, I would love to have more feedback and more exchange with other artists, and then maybe after that I would like to go into the rabbit hole once more. But yeah, to have the opportunity to know there's a network or somewhere other artists or where you could go, or that would be super nice to know.
Yeah, it's an excellent question, excellent responses. I remember we were building a show right now with a group of musicians and I, and we were like, all right, we're going to design the show. We have a whiteboard, and we're like, we're going to write down which song comes after which, and we're all going to do it together, and we're all going to, and we did this, and we didn't play any music that night, and it took us forever, and we kind of charted things out, but it was somehow at a weird moment, so it took us forever, and we were kind of frustrated at the end, So there's ways you can open up a collective process at a moment where you don't want it, and then, but it was still good. It was kind of grinding, and then like next week, like, what if we just made up a set and played it, and got into our bodies, and so we had to go away. I guess I just resonating with also your response, both of your responses, that and that is a part of art creation, to go away, whatever that means, and to come back in that rhythm. Super cool.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
I always feel like when the group has an access to a place to play and move, that instead of talking, we should continue. Is that possible, that we start doing again what we did yesterday? Since we have that space to move in.
Thank you. Yeah, how does that feel to you guys over there in Bonnie, Stockholm?
Yes, please.
Well, my lighting design is really out, so let's do it.
I know you have to stay there, Jay, because you look amazing. Yeah.
No, so yeah, should we jump into it, Joel? I can.
That sounds great.
Jump it. So last night, Joel and I talked with a little debriefing about how yesterday afternoon went, and we both agreed that we would like to have a little bit more open process between the two groups, the working group here in Stockholm in the room and the online group. So we're going to try, Joel and I are going to try to do a little bit more sharing today somehow of the process, which means that I'm going to share with you really, share with you really the process of talking with the juggling here in the room to give the context for the work. And then we're going to try to have some productive, in terms of timing, like you're saying, Catherine, like to keep the momentum going and working in the room, some sort of feedback afterwards from your side as well, just to get some comments to give energy into our process here. And that also we're super curious to be part of your conversation as well. Like we get so much out of hearing your side of it. It's not just that we are in our juggling world, like Gabriel was asking now. It's like, no, we want to, this is a moment where we want to reach out and be like connected with this process. That's why we're here. So, we will talk through the first proposition here. And I think we could just, I was thinking yesterday, it was really fun to see, like, Emil, did you do your 5-ring section?
Yeah.
And Pat, you did 5 rings, I think. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any other like chunk of stuff that isn't that stuff that you would like to show? That also keeping in mind from that chunk of stuff, you could maybe take a shorter sequence that we could start to pull apart for these other concepts. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. So do you want to have like 5 minutes to figure that out?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do 5 minutes. They're gonna show us a chunk of juggling.
Wow. Catherine, but that image is amazing, man.
I want to get more of him in there, but I can't figure out how to do it. So I'll figure it out. I can get lots of.
So, and I just reposted the fragment basket for the time interval of March 5th to April 19th. And just repeating what I said before, however you work to make little things, expressions, resonances, Google Doc, Draw, Miro, I know Teresa uses, and of course, any discipline and however you get it into the doc. I'll work in my own private doc and then move things over there. Here we go.
And then Joel, just to synchronize now while we have these 5 minutes to organize. So my thought was that today we could see, so there was also a desire from some people in the room here, mostly like maybe Jonathan who's filming, to see sequences more than once, like so that we wouldn't just show the results of something just one time, we could maybe at least do it twice. But again, I want to watch the clock and not, let it run away. But then what I was thinking was, like now they're going to show a chunk of stuff and we could ask them to show it again, but maybe with some fragments in mind if they want to. And then we could give them some time to consider the fragments that and how they might, reflect on them in the sequences. And then that way we have a skeleton and a framework for a way for them to work that's concrete and intact, right? So we would do give a little task. They could complete the task. We see it, just that task, and then they could do the task again with some fragments in mind. I think that it's maybe a good realistic way to incorporate fragments, if that's okay.
Yeah, and I would only add to it, and anybody jump in to say otherwise or whatnot, that I think to keep fragments in mind is more to just allow one to impact you rather than to try to represent it or to work it thematically. It's more like the technique thing, right? It's like, I don't know what, maybe they were like, I don't know why that picture and that weird thing impacted me, but even holding that feeling from that fragment is the way to keep it in mind, as it were.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
You ready to go?
Well, I can always be ready. I'm just going to decide the end of it. Does it need an end?
No, but it will have an end whether it needs one or not.
So yeah, I guess for our game today, we know that these guys will kind of be coming more near the camera to check in with us every couple of segments or after every one, and so yeah, I don't know what that makes us do, but it can make us do nothing different or something different. Doesn't matter, but I think that'll be fun.
Yeah. So what's that now? The first part. We don't know that yet. Show the thing. Yeah. Perfect. Ja. Vill du börja? Ja, men han är ju redan. Det syns ju lång väg.
Or should I just start? Oh, is it you go off of me? Where is it here? There?
Hey guys,
Hello.
Hello.
we just lost the video there at the end.
Oh no. Oh no, my juggling broke the video.
Yeah, it did. It did.
We're working on it, Joel.
Oh yeah, you sound just like you're up on the moon landing vehicle.
Roger, over.
You have 5 minutes of air.
Roger.
Is Erik up there? Get him a coffee.
Why that stopped?
Yeah. Get Erik a coffee. That's
So when did the video cut out? Like the end of the meal?
halfway through a meal, I'd say. Is
Okay.
that about right, guys? Unfortunately.
Is there a baby in the room? Because I'm tripping out because I've got my baby crying in the other room, and I'm trying to understand if someone recorded her from yesterday or if there's actually a baby in the room. Okay, cool.
There's a baby in the room, yeah.
Very good, very good. Hello, fellow parent. Hello, darling.
Hello, Puck. Hello.
Oh, I'll get Lila Jada to say hello to you at some point. Hello. Hello.
Oh, looking good. Looking
Okay,
good.
thank you. Thank you. No longer tripping out.
I can imagine.
Joel,
Yes.
there's something with the wire to the camera. If you lose it, please, can you just try to shout?
Okay. Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Du kan också,
I mean,
det kommer stå no video på den här.
Kommer det?
Så man kan titta in på den ibland.
Okay.
but it was something about too where this like turned off for some reason.
Yeah, because that turns off when they lose.
When they lose the signal?
Yeah,
Ah, I see, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, also if,
But I'll keep an eye out,
yeah,
like,
if you keep an eye,
yeah.
you can,
because if I put it in a speaker view, it should be ours all the time with the mic on if that's like music maybe.
yeah,
Who
yeah,
knows?
yeah,
We'll
but
see.
No, it's for sure. Yeah,
Who knows? We'll keep an eye on.
yeah.
So what, so,
Cool. Sweet.
so Joel, what should, sorry, what should we do? Tell us, man.
Tell you what you should do?
Yeah, we got out of the rhythm here with the technical difficulty. So,
Oh, I would, I mean, I could see that whole thing again, you know, basically.
one thing could be cool is if we had the fragments somehow like accessible on, where are the fragments, Joel? Can I can like grab them from somewhere and put them on my laptop that's not on Zoom?
Print them and put on the wall.
Yeah, or I can, no, because if I share them, then then people won't see you guys. So yeah, I'll just put it in the Zoom chat for you, Jay.
No, can you put them in Slack or something and I'll open them on my
Nope, it's Zoom. It's Zoom or nothing.
how do I get to Zoom? I'm
just joking. I'm just joking. I'm sorry. I'm sending them to you on Slack now.
Okay.
Sorry for the joke.
Technology.
The
Yeah,
asshole joke.
a micro circus on the technology.
There's micro circuses everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So many apps, and because what would be cool is if they could kind of keep the fragments kind of in front of their eyeballs when they want them, just to, you know, pick in on them, and then that would be a nice way to incorporate them into the flow. Why can't computers be more like juggling? How do I
can send it somewhere else too.
I mean, hang on. Sorry, my computer's just. Yeah. Got it, dude. Got it. Opening it now. Cool. Got it. So guys, jugglers.
Yes.
So here's the fragments. You can like scroll down or whatever, and like just like eyeball them again, like whenever you want.
This is from now.
Well, this is from the document that's just
Okay,
collected everything. So if you
down.
yeah, down like.
Yeah, if there was one that made an impact in any ambiguous way, you could scroll there and just leave it there without, don't have to represent it or anything like that, just there to be a part of the scenography.
Yeah, man, that's perfect, Joel. That's good.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, there's something.
David's on the case with the computers being like juggling. So what's happened? So for myself, I'm saying this for myself too. But so what's happening now? Our jugglers are looking at the fragments. We're going to repeat those same two sequences again. Hopefully, not have a camera failure, and potentially have well, not potentially. I mean, we're going to have fragments in the minds of the sequence makers. performers, jugglers. So it's live. It's gonna happen, Joel. It's live.
Love it.
Love it, Anique.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Jag tyckte om den där som...
There's already so many new amazing fragments too, and
Sweet.
more pencil pen movement too. It's cool.
Okay. Men ta den du.
Nej, det spelar ingen roll.
Vi kanske ska ta båda. Båda kan ta samma om vi vill.
Get me the cameras. Sequence with
It's
three
the
cameras.
fragment with all the cameras, so juggling them.
Have people done that, kind of like juggled GoPros with them on?
Yeah, it's actually looks it's so chaotic. It's kind of in one way not how you imagine it to be.
Yeah, it's like being inside those balls.
Yeah, but it's like if you want to get that sensation of what you imagine it to be, you kind of have to more carefully manipulate and choreograph the camera, which is actually really fun. It's a fun thing to try.
I'm thinking that would be fun to really stabilize them so they like,
Yeah,
on the-
right. That'd be cool.
Huh?
Should we? Okay, we're gonna do the action now, and I'm gonna keep an eye on the camera. And Joel, yeah, you yell and stuff and wave your hands if the camera goes away.
Okay, I will.
And I'll keep an eye on you. I'll try to keep an eye on you.
Yeah. Can you repeat the thing? We're just gonna use one of these.
Sequence again, yes, and try to. And if something from one of those things can inspire, make you whatever. then
Sure.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Oh, baby cough. That was such a sucker.
You gonna go first, Emil? Or
Yes, but in a moment.
okay.
Can we just have like 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Is that
Okay, we're gonna take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
It's all. We're all good.
It feels like I want to go through it, but yeah, I'll just go with it. Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah.
No, just do it this time, and we like everything we do one for nothing.
Yeah,
that's what this was kind of supposed to be.
Cool.
And then we'll try to dive into something a bit more.
Sure. Jag är redo.
Vill du köra först?
Ja. I can look while you go.
I think I go.
Sorry?
You can look while he
Baby
goes.
ready?
Yeah. Yeah, me.
Camera ready?
Ready on set 2. Ready on set 5.
Guys, ready?
Yeah.
Stop. Roger, we'll stop. Discovery, welcome back. That's great ending to the new beginning. Stop. Roger, we'll stop. Discovery, welcome back. That's great ending Stop. Discovery, welcome back. That's great ending to the new beginning. Discovery, welcome back. That's great ending to the new beginning. Stop. Roger, we'll stop. Discovery, welcome back. That's great ending to the new beginning. Stop. Roger, we'll stop. Discovery, welcome back. That's great ending to the new beginning. Stop. Roger, we'll stop. Discovery, welcome back. That's great ending to the new beginning. Now approaching lunar sunrise, and for all the people back on Earth, the crew of Apollo 8 has a message that we would like to send to you. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face the face of the water. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light. They was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light good. And the darkness he called light. And the evening was good. God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament, the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning was the second day. Roger, you're loud and clear here also. Let's use the count with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Du var nog nervösare än jag tror jag.
Det var klurigt och kul. Where's the camera?
Okay, we're back, Joel.
Yes, that was fabulous. Erik was just saying it is really super good filming too. Really nice, dynamic filming with what you guys are doing too.
Something happened. It was really well done. The angle, like to challenge the laws of gravity. It really worked, I think.
Sarah, thumbs up, everybody, for that. So thank you. Joel, do you have any sort of idea about any quick comments, or how do you want to do it? Now we're at that moment we didn't solve last night, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if spoken expressions right now can be heard as fragments, you know, and we don't say them as I want this and that, but just stuff that comes out that could be interesting. Like what's staying with me right now is that movement, Patrick, that you were doing, where you bring your hand underneath the ring and it keeps, you know, and it comes back and it's on your head, and then you do it again. You do it again, like at another point, another part in the body, right? This thing of it going, you're moving something under it that looks like it's going to trip it up, and instead it kind of, it has this feeling of going over a bump, you know, and it's super rhythmic, or kind of it makes a moment of rhythm there. So that's what's staying with me. That in that last thing, yeah.
I wonder which one it is.
Yeah.
So there was the head, and then you also move it across your whole arm length, right? You let it roll.
Yeah, I like bump on the arms.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one. Sweet. Oh no, technical failure.
I like the risk taking of the together working, you know, almost mixing the two genre, mixing the two, like one helping the other, Emil helping. more, yeah, it started to be a risk. It wasn't quite a risk yet, but it started to be a risk. I like the edge of the risk.
Just like we were talking about, Jay.
The risk of the risk.
Yeah.
The merge of the contact improvisation and the juggling has begun.
Yeah, I have a question about that, guys. Was that something that was that what you originally planned to do, or was that a response to one of the fragments when you started taking each other's weight like that?
That was a response to one of the fragments, the one with the
Cool.
two leaning against each other.
Okay, cool. That's what I thought. And how was that to do? Like, how did that feel on the inside of it?
It felt fine. It felt fine.
I thought it was.
I mean, I made up the plan as I went, and then I just told Emil what to do. So I mean, it was not as comfortable as it could be if it was something rehearsed, for sure. but no problem. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal.
yeah,
Cool.
it could look a lot better with a bit of trying.
Yeah. Looks,
Oh yeah.
looks and feeling could improve.
But I think this is what Catherine also said. It's because the juggler is such a sovereign figure. Like, you know, you're like this one guy, like juggling all these things, and then suddenly it becomes so fragile because they depend on each other. And at least to me as a viewer who maybe knows some of these feelings more, also my body memory responds. So when I watch you doing this, I'm in it. Whereas when I watch you doing things my body does not know to do, I'm out and I'm just admiring. But that's why I like also very much these simple things that maybe the viewer can also has a body memory himself or herself. So that's very, it's very like I feel it's very interesting.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm still moving with that one action, and I'm wondering about without trying to be any kind of directive. It's more just a proposition out to the. But if there's to have two bodies, but still doing a little bit of that thing where the ring stays in the same place, but things are moving under it. You know, like you did the hand under it. Could that work between two bodies? You know, where that's and of course that's a little bit of juggling, but that is like a proposition of a technique that to keep the ring spinning and moving things under it, but with two bodies is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I've done something similar with another guy named Wes Peden.
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram. Yeah, he's awesome.
Let's go how you know Wes.
We roll a ring from head to head. So
sweet.
that's the other person. But what we didn't do is what you just said, which would look way cooler. So we moved back on the stage and had the ring roll. So everything was moving. But what you're saying sounds dope. Like to have the ring in one spot and the bodies are moving around. So I'm gonna call him and I'll try it and we'll film it
For Instagram.
And we'll post it on his Instagram and you'll see it.
Yeah, that'll be the ultimate fragment. Yeah.
But hey, Joel,
Cool.
I have a proposition for you.
Great.
Kind of like reflecting on what or riffing on what you said about these comments now being fragments, perhaps. I don't know if this is able to be put in the process today, now, or if it's for tomorrow or for the future, right? But it's another level of complexity. While people online are making fragments, what could be cool is that there's a context where when the jugglers are done, they will be able to receive some spoken fragments. So maybe you could compile a list or something that's pretty ambitious, maybe, to have all these parallel processes going. It's like another one to layer on top. But like if there could be a repository or something where people could just type little short, quick reflections, and then maybe somebody could volunteer to read them. And that could be a nice economic, like temporarily economical system to kind of give some feedback that's a little bit more fragmented. You get my vibe at all, or is that?
No, yeah. I there's no reason not to try it. I think that just like you guys, we're just warming up. So we'll just maybe if the next one is like slightly longer, might be a little bit because it's also so we wanted to really watch it, I think, and so it's still bubbling in us. But yeah, let's go for that. There's also an incredible drawing by Lene and Fragment on the. I don't know if you can look at it if you have that on the Fragment doc there. Do
you have to refresh?
Thank you. It was really amazing to watch the jugglers.
I love the way that this kind of sculptural snapshot in pencil grabs the flesh of the limbs and the.
Oh yeah.
That's just. Wow, that's awesome.
Cool. Should we jump into the next?
Yeah, and I'll let's. What do you think? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I'll talk to the. We'll talk here about the putting a list down at the bottom.
Okay. So I would say take. You can take whatever you want, right? Like you can use a section of what you showed or all or none or change it depending on what this idea is that we agree to do. Mm-hmm. I have a couple of propositions here that I'm pretty passionate about as concepts, but I can't tell you as easily what they mean as yesterday of like repeat until you die. So I can throw a couple of them at you, right? And then you can, I mean, you can always say no and we can find something else, but maybe you can pick between them depending on what you feel for. So I'm really obsessed with transitions. And so the proposition would be to make a sequence or to take a sequence and only do the transitions. Or then the opposite would be to take a sequence or make a sequence that has no transitions. And I've been working on that a lot in my experiments. But I'm really convinced that transitions are the future of technique. That's a whole story. But if one of those two prompts would inspire you, we could try one of those. Or I'll give you a third one, which is that I'm also obsessed with, one of my favorite drummers, Ian Chang. He always plays behind the beat. He always plays late. I don't know, and we can discuss what that technically means. But I thought it would be really fascinating to try to see a sequence where the sequence is behind the beat with juggling. And I had a few kind of fantasies about what that might mean technically. And also like those propositions I just said, we can do all of them too. I mean, we don't have to pick or choose, but like, I don't know. So there's my three. Is that good enough to throw three proposals at you?
I'm down to start the first one.
The first one, which is
just transitions.
So either you make a sequence that's only transitions, or you take a sequence you already have and only do the transitions. I don't know, whatever you want to consider, whichever way you want to conceive of it.
I'll take the one I just did, and then I'll try to.
That's fun.
Figure out what is transition.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna take.
This is an amazing prompt, by the way. This is incredible.
Yeah, I'm gonna take.
And what did you say, Jay? Transitions are the technique? That's not quite what you said.
No. So they have two choices. They can either make a new sequence, or they can take a sequence they already have. And either you make a sequence is only composed of transitions, or you take a pre-existing sequence you have and only perform the transitions. And I can give a wider context for this idea of transitions, which isn't getting stuck on language, but it's just about divisions of time, how we conceive of divisions of time within technique of our practice. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. I'm just looking for that line you said about transitions are the future of technique.
Yes, in juggling,
okay.
I think. Yeah, in juggling, transitions are the future of technique, and like it's the future of the art. It's where the community trend is going. But I think the statement of saying like we are all headed towards transitions is a little bit too bleeding edge for many people to agree with. But if you look at the trend over the past like 20 years or 25 years of juggling, and this is obviously I could go on about this for hours, but I really see it's going towards transitions as being the thing to do, which is I really find fascinating. Because what I find fascinating isn't so much that we would be going towards all transitions. What I'm fascinated about is what happens after that. Like what's after the transition in terms of deconstructing. I mean, that's that's the fun part for me, where I'm like, where is this going? After all we end up with is what we call transitions. What happens after that? So yeah, that's a whole other, we should zoom that
Beautiful.
one day, Joel.
Beautiful. Yeah, exactly.
So,
Okay.
so what do you guys want, like 7 minutes? So they're gonna take 7 minutes to figure out their all transition sequence.
Okay. So yeah, I just put this question as a fragment itself at the bottom. Are there some fragments for them when they return that we can speak or show?
Maybe what's after transitions is constant becoming.
Yeah, I'm
right on.
I get thrown into contemplative mode by that question. Yeah, which is, I mean, I guess I've been there since the beginning of this session today, which is a beautiful place to be.
Welcome to the middle of nowhere.
The town next over from mine, its slogan is the middle of everywhere. After years of thinking of itself as the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, for people who have been soaked in process philosophy for a while, there's a moment where process is actually activated by the fact that we're recognizing the consistency of practices or of objects, or like we're changing the move. I mean, I think we're past the time where we had to totally liberate ourselves from objects or like from products. Like we've been long enough in the absolute movement and stuff. So it kind of depends where we start and where we finish the time interval here. Like Jay was saying, 20-25 years. I think it's a great frame to make the type of claim that he did in terms of the importance of transitions with regards to technique. And I'm like now I see Catherine and Joel. I'm like, from within the Sense Lab inheritance. For me, it's clear that process that only celebrates its own processuality without understanding the necessity of form taking is deemed to become just like a slushy, you know. And that's
absolutely,
I guess, where we are at here. Like I love the way that we're playing with practices that and the meeting of different practices also, and recognizing it as such.
And the appetite of the transition in Whitehead is the appetite of a lot of destruction into actuality. You know, like it's where a bunch of things die, and there is a consequential meeting. You know, where things take on each other and become something that they weren't before. And it's wild that he said that transitions are the future of technique.
Yeah, it's a beautiful iterant.
Yeah.
I guess to rephrase a little bit, the question of relaying, how do we relay, is so key for me when it comes to how we navigate through the different layers of processes, and also relaying towards questions that the sphere is committed to tackle, questions of funding, for instance, or the reinvention of how we integrate the art of funding within the art practices themselves. I have too many.
I guess within
too many layers now in my brain piling
No, I
on top
know.
of one another.
We can take it from so many different angles.
Yeah.
Like I could say something like in one take on the sphere and its kind of systematization. In one possible future, there it is like outside of the politics of recognition, but still a sense of that relay, which includes some of that obligation. You know, of you accept a relay, accept a gift. You're also accepting an entanglement that, you know, has other forces that going to ask you to do something, or that you owe something, or they owe you something, or, you know, it's a bit more pinball-y,
like the people that are gathered around the Anarchive Lab. I texted something earlier about Anarchive as service, because of what Gabriel was asking the performers. You know, it's like, what would it mean to have a crew of people that can accompany productions, or that would be recognized as producing that type of very free transdisciplinary processual feel around, or post-critical feel around a performance, you know, and what does it mean for us, for ourselves, to project ourselves as delivering such a service, or as accepting invitations on that basis, you know, without the commodification of what we're doing right now, but like really in terms of like the relay here is to accept that we individuate in a certain way, tapping in the vibe, the spirit of the Anarchive that you're describing. So that for me becomes part of the process. That actually kind of becomes an account of the process that goes beyond itself and accept a new set of adventure. So for that to happen, we need first to really establish the coordinates, take away the cliches, step away once and for all from only valorizing products, and then accepting the capture of other invitations or other adventures to come. That for me is like, I guess, what is at stake in the relaying here. And it's yeah, I feel the bite of the challenge here. What does it mean? Because we could fall into a self-commodification of ourselves, but I think it's a risk worth taking if we want to push forward what we are starting here.
She has a camera in her hand.
Or what do you mean with self-commodification?
It's like, maybe it's too influenced by where this reflection around the Anarchive is from. It's like basically in the dramaturgy of the Anarchive from the Sense Lab's perspective, there is always too much products, or like we're like in a position where we're always in danger of commodification, always in danger of being captured again by the end result, the product.
And the neoliberal form is to sell yourself, and the platforms help you to sell yourself for cheap on the cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. So from that perspective, creating the bubble that escapes commodification or productivization is an end in itself. It becomes a safe haven that protects processuality as such. And without that move made by the Sense Lab, I don't think we would be able to carry forward that type of spirit that we're carrying here within the sphere. So that needs to be acknowledged or recognized as a value as such. But here,
and not as something we move past, but as something that is constantly there as a defense on one side, but then it gives way into once that defense is secured through the fragmenting, so we are not these individual selves selling ourselves, then to not defend on the other end, but to let go into these other adventures, whatever and however we design them together. It doesn't look like selling ourselves on the cheap, but there being definitely some flows of there being like, if we imagine putting these out here around a process, that there is a way to connect that into the economy of the thing, the provenance of the thing, as a real recognition of what has happened to allow it to take place and grow. You know, that would connect through on the economy side. That's where we're going, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is my question that I kind of keep coming back to, is like, at what point this all kind of meets back up with artistic practices where people are making things, right? And like, not necessarily, product might not always be the right word, but I'm curious about this notion of this kind of process as a service, as a dramaturgy, like a dramaturgical service.
Yeah, totally.
And this is why I think it's so great to be interacting with circus artists in this way too, is like it becomes, it's in conversation with like a making practice of concrete art objects eventually. That's exciting to me.
Yeah. I think they're ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Have you been waiting? Oh, wow.
Got it. So we're ready to show all transition. We're ready to show you transitions.
All transitions all the time.
Here we go. Go ahead. And can you do them again? Sorry. That's fucking nice though.
Yeah, sure.
I like it. But I know what you mean. It's funny to see what people think are transitions.
Yeah, for sure. And this is like, can also come from it, but also see.
Transitions are every circus student's best act they can think of.
Right.
Like this.
Yeah, right.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Twist. Yeah. That shit works.
So, yeah, so if there would be any sort of fragments to be read out, that could be cool. And then just for myself and for us, we could try to do the all transition sequences again with some time to incorporate some fragments if you would like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think that yeah, I'd be interested to hear if people have some of those spoken fragments. Like we were kind of unpacking the kind of, I think unpacking the first conversation that we had with you guys, you know, in a way. We were still coming around on like, oh, this is what would this mean as anarchiving as a as a service, basically, while you were preparing.
Yeah.
And so there was kind of that we were talking about what the relay, what it is to relay towards like the production of something you don't yet know what you're making. There was, and what it is to not be lost in process, but to lean on it. So we were kind of like moving on that score, and then there's so many powerful fragments that have been written so far, that kind of. So I don't know, but how about others? What's coming out in terms of a spoken fragment?
You enable screen sharing? Because I
Oh,
thought
did I? Yeah.
it might be fun to do something together, a drawing.
Yeah, I will look into that. Okay, should be good now.
Can we just have like, that's what I said. Yeah.
Not what I wanted to share. Hold on. Here we go.
Yes, but we do have some, I guess, in the chat. It was mentioned that there is in the chat there is some fragments there. Where do I get to the chat now that
I? Sorry. That's what I
Oh,
wanted to. I want to share this, but I can't seem to do it.
Yeah, so I think that in terms of the fragments we have that have emerged in writing, we've got that it's about the parallel processes and accepting the capture of other adventures to come. They're and the one thing that really sticks with me from that last run is the with Emil, that a certain moment after all this movement, you put the one ring into your neck and put another ring over it, and then you push on it, like this, and it's like the most stable moment. Do you know the moment I mean?
Yeah,
It's near the end. It's the most like almost eerie. It's like an eerie stability in the midst of so much, because a circle is just endlessly moving, but you kind of like. So that's one thing that's sticking for me that I kind of want. I throw that fragment back to you as something to extrapolate from, or to augment, or to maybe put into a parallel process. If I combine that fragment with the one that Gayatri wrote, that it's about the parallel processes, and also this is about the bodies meeting together, like that kind of eerie stability in the midst of so much movement is my attention went right there, and I felt the groundedness in that moment.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that resonates.
That's good. Yeah, it's interesting with what you said about stability, and because I've never thought about it that trick or that transition. I've never thought about it that way, because I don't necessarily think balance as something fragile or something. Yeah, it's an activity that I do, and I like the feeling of it, and it's beautiful to have the object up there because it shows off the objects beautifully. Because when I hold it, it's covered partly by my hand, but in that balance, you see so much of the object. But then, yeah, you see it as really maybe fragile or more balance wise than Yeah, that's really cool. That's another thing sticks out to you.
Well, I think it's because you make the balance seem so alive, and I don't know about fragile, but like strong and alive. And then I did like the feeling of some pressure from another angle, right? Because it's always then it's just gravity and the ring on some surface of your skin or on the surface of another ring. Whereas this moment, you could feel that, I mean, you were pushing like this. So there was 2 points of pressure that it just made a different feeling from within that that slight movement. And then all of a sudden it was like, choom. So it could be cool to, yeah. If that elicits any interest towards, you know, following that contrast between whatever the balance is doing and whatever when you press on both sides of a ring, you know, and it creates something else too. Pressure. Dun 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 dun. Oh yeah.
If anybody else wants to draw, feel free. I just felt like drawing collectively on the directions that this particular picture was providing us.
Cool. So what's the next direction?
Could do something where there is some pressure applied by one to the other in terms of the body.
Yeah.
That could be interesting. But just jamming with you all.
Your assignment or ours?
Yeah.
No, hang on now. Hang on, guys.
We're just going with
So Joel, I think the jugglers here are hungry to do their next the next experiment.
Yeah.
So I would I could suggest that they try their no transition, or sorry, all transition sequences, but with some fragments in there, and to give them some time this time, just for fun, because they had kind of expressed a desire to have some time to maybe incorporate some fragments, you know, to have a little bit of rehearsal with it, with the idea of them, some of them. So
yeah, I'd love that. Is as how I'm responding, does that feel like I'm giving over fragments, or does it, are you imagining a different way, like looking at the pictures and then having some interpretive lens? Like,
I think they're doing both.
Yeah, both is useful.
I think they're scrolling through we're scrolling through
awesome
here, and then also just listening to what people say. And then they can kind of pick, I mean, obviously they're going to pick what they resonate with, you know, in the moment to try to dive into. And they were saying that it would be nice to have some time to actually make those physically manifest.
Would love that.
So I could say we could give them another 7 minutes, and then we could see a all transition sequence fragmented.
Oh yeah. Totally.
And then I could just say, I want to say out loud for them. I mean, also for if you're curious of process, you can also please listen. But anyway, it's for the more directed towards the jugglers, that this idea of transitions, it came from this idea of when I was teaching in the Lido, and I asked the students to show me their favorite trick. And then one juggler showed me a 1 minute long 3-ball, what I would call sequence of like 30 tricks. And then the juggler said, well, I can't separate one throw out from another. It's too, how can I say that this isn't one trick or whatever? So we started talking about the divisions of time. And then without getting too deep into it, you have like a show, a half a show, and inside a half of a show, what do you have? Maybe an act. And inside of an act, what's a smaller division of time? You have a trick. And then what's shorter division of time than a trick? It's maybe a transition. And then what's shorter than a transition? Maybe you have a throw or a catch. And what's shorter division of time than a throw and a catch? So it's just a personal relationship to a division of time. That's what we're talking about, the transitions here. And then there is no obvious universal language about what's right and wrong. Then that's not what the work is about, but it's
Like a discussion based on opinion.
it's also just cultural. I mean, we all have a collective sense of what is a trick in transition because we've been together in the same university before and life.
Yep.
But in France, there's a different vibe there, and there's a different vibe in America, and a different vibe in China, and wherever. I mean, the jugglers everywhere. Right? Japanese juggling style is. Japanese juggling style is really heavily like on transitions as more tricks.
In our world.
Yeah, in our world, yeah. So we have this kind of like trying to understand where we sit in our relationships, and then also then how we try to relate to other people's relationships inside of that whole spectrum. It's like quite a bunch of things to navigate, but it's just a thought process to start to think about. Anyway, so transition fragments, fragmented transitions.
All right, thank you. 7 minutes.
Yeah, 7 minutes.
Fragmented transitions.
If they don't mind us watching them practice, I wouldn't mind watching them practice.
You hear that, Jay?
Yeah, they're good. They're good for that. And
I would say it's creation, but
and then the camera, Sarah on the camera is orchestrating the logistics of the request.
Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah's doing, yeah, super good. Now that the camera system seems to be working.
Den som är framme. Det är samma. Ja, tjena. Crap.
Nu är vi tillbaka i det där konstiga strecket och det där. Man ser fortfarande den där.
How many minutes on the clock?
2. Yeah, it's some notifications, but from Slack,
Yeah,
I think.
close
But I mean, I think it's super fine. Oi. Okay, Sindri, time to stop watching iPad. The timer went off. No, it's your bedtime soon.
Okej, I'm ready. Får jag gå först eller? Så jag kommer ihåg allt. Vad sa du? Ja, vi ska stå. Nu ska vi stå så att vi visar dem. We should stand in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Bra gjort, Sara. Vi kommer ihåg det.
But we should be here so I can look at the screen so we can.
Okej, kan du komma närmare?
Ja, men det är inte. Det är menyn där.
I'm gonna do mine very slow and confidently.
That's good.
And remember the future. Of
Fan, det syns fortfarande.
Nej.
What?
Nej, men jag trodde jag fick bort den.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, so we are ready to go.
Okay.
Here we go.
Och sen så har vi liksom 5000 per natt som du familjehållet. Anslutning till tunnelbanans röda samt till bussar.
Oh, lost your video. Lost the video. Lost the video. Lost the video. Sorry for yelling, everybody. Lost the video. Hello? Hello? Lost the video.
Hello?
Is it only me? Lost the video.
Hello? Hello?
We will SOS. We will.
Help! Help! Help!
You have to. Lost the video. We will.
Send him a message on Slack.
Those guys in there are crazy techno.
Nej, vänta. Vi är inte...
We're live.
We lost the video.
Nej, det är Holyland. Sorry,
Joel,
guys.
did you lose the video?
Oh, weirdly enough.
Sorry,
I did.
guys.
I lost the video. Are you there now?
Holy Land.
Now we're back.
Holyland. Apparently,
I don't see it. Do you see it, David? No?
Where's the Christian? No.
Oh, yeah, I lost the video.
yeah, we have
Oh,
a
me too.
Me too.
sensitive table here. Not see anything.
Just Hollyland for a better view.
I think the
Can we call them or?
I think they know now, don't they?
I think so.
your fragment sequence now.
Hey!
Hey.
Yay!
Da, 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 da.
Like, did you miss the whole thing?
Yep.
Yes, we missed the whole thing, yes.
Sorry.
Transition part first, and then the real.
That's okay.
That'd be fucking fun.
We
I have
didn't see any of that.
Semi-broken
and then
table
we'll
here.
just do it
See.
again.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
And then,
Do it again. I'd
and
be
then-
super, super careful with that.
and then the thing is, to add in the repeats from yesterday.
Yeah, because I feel like that.
Jag är
there's a
rädd
lot
för
of,
att
like,
om det händer mer
whatever fragments,
så kan det
there's
vara
a lot of errors. Okay, I'll need that.
Because I think you could get like an easy 10-minute sequence out of just one little section of choreography by like doing the transitions, doing the repetitions, then doing only the stuff with no transitions. And I think it would give not like, oh, I can do a lot of shit, but like for the sake of like giving an experience that's deeper than just the sequence.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really fascinating. Yeah, you start on that choreography,
For sure.
choreographic kind of idea.
Kanske går att fixa till imorgon.
So having not seen it, how did it feel, guys? There in Stockholm.
Doing it so far. Where's the camera?
Ljudet på.
Yeah. So I'll do my thing again.
And I'll be more careful.
Thank you.
In 5, 4, 3. No, I don't. And action.
No, this is crazy.
We lost it.
Jag gjorde ju nästan ingenting.
There we go. It's back now.
Okay, I'll try to be totally still. I'll be just still.
It's just a weird thing with the wire or something, huh?
It's an adapter that is almost breaking.
One more.
Transition.
Yeah, transition.
Ready, everyone?
Yeah.
Discovering your goal frame, you shut down on time. Discovering your goal frame, you shut down on time. We're still looking at it. We're still looking. Houston, we're still looking at it. Houston, we're still looking. Discovery Houston, we're still looking at it. 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 Discovery, goal for APU shut down on time. Discovery, goal. Over APU shut down on time. Discovery Houston, we're still looking at it.
Okay, hey Pat, you should. Yeah. Yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Oh. Good one. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, good one.
That was excellent. That was excellent.
I think in the interest of time, we won't repeat those. Sure thing. We'll just move on, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's fun. Cool. Cool. So now would be the fragmenting back looping.
It's kind of like Vaseline. We all go fragmenting. There we go.
Here, you guys can scroll through. There's like comments there, and then there's the Google Doc.
I can still hear the catch.
This was like, yeah, hearing the catch, catching the hair. I had a surface on my head. No, there's there.
You lost the video. SOS, yes. Holy Land, Holy Land. Oh, where's Kathy? I do.
There's a few new ones here when you're done.
Whoa, cool.
What would you want to? Ja, det var de eller? Jaha, okej. Ja, gud. Ja, titta på den där.
Wow.
Yeah.
Throw out a verbal fragment.
Yes, yes, please.
Moving from Teresa's number 4 with the enlarging circles. Did you saw that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it just made me think of riffing off of the fragment of Jay's thing on transitions and how you cut them up. What about one where there is just like this? If this is a diagram, where if it's like a 1 minute block, 2 minute block, 3 minute block, 4 minutes, so it increases the length. And I don't know what that does to the, if you're doing the same thing within it, but you have to do it in a different time. You know, it brings in a little bit of that performance art element of endurance. I don't know. That's just what's hitting me in refraction with this right now.
Yeah, and do it really slow in the last one. Slightly. Okay, kan gå ner en gång. Den. Ser ni helhet, men.
Emil, it looked so cool when you made the pressure tower on top.
Yeah.
That looked so cool when you were bending. It was like this whole other being, you know?
Yeah.
Moving around, kind of like a searchlight, you know, in a way. Like, I really like that feeling. And Patrick, were you riffing on Gayatri's one with the gravity slip? Is that, I wondered.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Is that right?
The culture slip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So happy I'm so happy that was clear.
Yeah, it was cool because you had to work with the timing of the release, you know? That was
sweet.
That was sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, we both had the same one actually.
Yeah, we took the same image.
Ah, cool.
It was, yeah, such a funny coincidence. Where is it? One minute.
It's fun also, like you see the fragments, and there's, I feel like whenever I look at one and there's one part of a fragment that I always like my eyes like zoom in on, and that's what I focus on.
That's cool.
So much.
That's cool.
Many of them, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, my brain picks what he wants to see.
Yeah.
Focus on the thing that I'm drawn to, whether it's color or shape.
That's a cool note.
What's that?
Did I look like that?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, sweet. This is,
Jag tror att I think if you think of this, I mean, this is.
Yeah, I was choosing between
this one and
between the Lene fragment number 1, Lene, however you say your name. Yeah, those were.
That's correct, I think. Right, Lene? Let me see. To get a coffee.
Oh yeah.
Don't blame her. Yeah. Coffee's long. Yeah, she's looking.
I like this. I like the selection moment a lot. Picking out colors for your cabinets.
Hey, David. Are you there, David?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I am. Hi.
On your number 5, is the banana for scale?
What's that?
The banana for scale.
And for a snack.
Nice.
For scale and for snack.
Yeah.
For sure. Cool. Sweet. So then, it would be interesting maybe to do a 30-second routine, then do it, I don't know, 1 minute, then 2 minutes, and 3 minutes.
Yeah. It would be work.
That's true. Yeah, maybe not.
It wouldn't be now.
So much consuming.
Maybe another time for that idea.
Yeah, I think the rhythm from today would be pretty ambitious.
Dude, I love this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have time for like one more basically, right?
Yeah. And I'm kind of personally, like, I'm so convinced by this transition thing now, because I think, like, especially Pat's last fragmented transition sequence was just like killing me, like in the best way. So yeah. I'm still super convinced about this transition stuff. So it'd be really fun to see the opposite, those sequences, original sequences with no transitions, just to get the contrast out. Because I think they were, like Emil and Patrick were really good about having a personal relationship to the word transition. So just further clarifying that to see the no transition sequence would be.
And can you say just a little bit about what was killing you in the best way in that? Or show, or I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to watch the video with you and point out moments that of clarity, but just that there was like the work was focused to a sharpened point of clarity of the essence of Patrick and the essence of juggling. I mean, in the context of this assignment or this task.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really put it into words except that I see these moments popping out that are just super clear and succinct and yeah, to the point somehow. I don't know.
Cool.
Patrick,
cool.
You did the sequence. How much did you think of the product?
Of the what?
Of the thing you were gonna make. Like, take away the sequences.
In terms of me thinking it was good or bad?
Yeah. How much did you
I didn't care.
No, cool.
I mean, when I first took away the tricks, I didn't care what was left. I just tried to keep the as truthful as possible. What was not the tricks to still be there, whether I thought they were good or bad.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Now I felt like I could add stuff from the fragment, what I took from the fragment, and try to make that something I liked, kind of.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And also, Joel, to answer you maybe in a little bit more useful way, it's that there's something about juggling for me which reveals a truth about the universe and in the way of humans interacting with objects in the environment and time and space. Like, I think it reveals some part of the human condition in the best of times. And that's very, conceptual and large and universal.
Oh, that's great.
But like, there are those moments then that I saw popping out of Patrick's sequence where I just go, yes, juggling just cut to the heart of some sort of revelation or some sort of bigger universal truth about human beings and objects and gravity and physics, in a really short time, and just a little instance, like a glimpse behind the curtain of our universe, which I wouldn't have understood otherwise. That's kind of why I'm fascinated by a lot of juggling. And then, like, when I watched Patrick's last sequence, I was just being kind of constantly hit with those images where I'm just like, oh my God, yeah, juggling is the thing. Like, this is totally, meaningful in a real way to me. That's like my relationship to the art. So that's what I mean when I say that sequence was just really hitting it for me. Something was
amazing.
But yeah, now Emil went to get some water, but would you want to do a sequence of only, like, no transitions?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. That's what I've been working on my stuff for the past few years is no transitions. Even though I think transitions are going to be the thing.
Yeah.
I've been doing the no, but the no transition thing has also been really like so fun to work on.
Yeah.
So fun. Like, I don't know, really immediate for me in my work. It was just like, okay, no transitions, let's go. Oh, how's that going to work? And then a lot of stuff happened. So we can see
that pushes the technique in both sides, right? Or in both versions, would you say?
Absolutely. And maybe not so like, and there's also then the other layer to it, right? There's the technical layer and there's the performative layer. I would say for me, performing with no transition was more in the performative layer than in the technical layer, which is also, you know, because it's a performative art, then I'm also in it really occupied with that side of it too. So we were talking about maybe you guys could do a sequence of no transitions.
Yeah.
So just
try it.
Just everything else but transitions.
Same routine.
Yeah, like the original thing from today,
Yes.
or whatever you want to do.
It's gonna look completely different. I feel.
Yeah. You guys want 7 minutes?
Yes.
All right.
Do we get to know which fragment was chosen for this one?
No, so I think what we're going to do is they're going to make their with no fragments, just the study of no transitions, and then we'll see that, and then we'll give them another 7 minutes to finish the day maybe, and then they can do the no transitions with a fragment.
Cool.
I think that would be a realistic flow for them to tackle.
Sounds good, man.
It seemed to work. It seemed to go pretty good with the no transition rhythm now. That the fragment came on the second iteration of like composition.
Yeah, it actually seemed to do something, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, just speaking like from myself, like I can't speak for them, but like I would personally find the task super intimidating to have to layer those two concepts together at this early in the process of understanding how we relate to all of the things we've been talking about. Which is what I was trying to think this whole time before we led up to this week. I'm just like, okay, you know, you had expressed that you wanted to incorporate fragments into the actual physical work. And I was like, how are we going to do that? Because I knew once we were confronted with that moment, it was going to be a pretty big challenge that wasn't necessarily going to get easier the longer we waited or talked about it. So I was just like, maybe we should start with a real concrete proposition for them. And then once they've tackled that, then they would have brain space to maybe think about other things such as fragments.
Well, and I like how they took it as a concrete thing, like they were saying like that, and they said like, oh, I find myself, I've just drawn to something, and then it seemed like they were saying then their imagination would go off from that one thing, like one little part of a picture or one color or one shape, you know?
Yeah.
And that's I just think that's awesome to get that insight from them as users of the fragment as augmenting machine, you know? If that's, you know, that's really nice.
When I was preparing for our interview this morning, last night, going over my notes from our whole entire process, the past few months of talking, one thing that really stuck out in my notes that we haven't talked about yet in this lab, and maybe it's for a future discussion in this lab, but it's the anarchiving from the point of view of that future artist, of what they might need when they do incorporate things. And we had mentioned it briefly, Joel, like before, that idea of like the backwards test or the reverse engineering. Yeah. So like now, to have that feedback from the practicing artist who's trying to use fragments to kind of not just have the proposition go towards them, but also that they have some sort of desire back to, you know, for the conversation with the anarchivists as well, to, you know, to propose for future anarchiving, like maybe some things are more resonating than others in certain scenarios. But man, what a big ball of different things to untangle there, you know, like a web that'd be a lot of things to try to understand all at once, I think.
Yeah, and I think and that's why it's almost like just trying out different things you know, allows us to go beyond what we could do in just discussing what if scenarios, right?
Right.
Like, that's where it's even some of the stuff with, like, you know, quadratic voting, you know, is kind of made for those kind of things, where you imagine like an artist's layer voting backwards, not on the overall value of a fragment, but in there for their particular use, you know, what rises to the top in what way. Because even them noticing parts of a fragment, you know, makes me think about, oh, then highlight that for a version going forward, like visually, or take it out and take it forward, you know?
Yeah.
Like keep on sending it, keep on changing it. Because you can change it as much as you want when you have that provenance connected, you know, for more social means rather than economic. So anyway, just blathering, but it's exciting.
And I wonder whether we really need, you said earlier, Jay, that about understanding it, because there were so many things, but maybe that's one of the joys of this process, is just everyone being bombarded with so much information that we let go of understanding, or at least mind understanding, and it just becomes cellular.
Mm.
And we go with what we want to run with, kind of like what they did naturally there, right? Or grab this and run with that, or, you know, and then the rest will take care of itself somehow. I'm also just blown away by the quality of the fragments being created on in the page. It's and all, because so many different sides to quality, of course. So many, and I feel that in this stuff. It's for scale and for snack. I'd like to imagine the TV show in which that would be the battle cry of the for scale and for snack.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Joel, can you remind me really fast, what are we doing tomorrow morning in your brain? Do you remember?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the first thing is, but I think we were going to like look towards the proposition of then collaging the fragments that we have, you know,
Cool.
which already, I mean, it's already happening. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, really looking at how do we box these up, quote unquote, for future use.
Right.
You know? So it already leads towards what you were just saying, and then we would do some, like so especially getting some feedback from everybody online, everybody live about what's resonating, which things have resonated, because we are going to send these fragments on in some kind of collaged, ordered way, collectively done so, on to the next lab and on to the Berlin Circus Fest. We don't know what necessarily that will mean, you know, but we're going to kind of put it in a boat and send it down the river, as it were, in some form. Does that make as much sense as that we can make?
No, it's awesome. It's a good advertisement for tomorrow. So, you know, everybody come on back, you know, see how this all turns out. Like
that's right. Yeah, come on back, y'all. See how we box this up and send it on.
Yeah. So it looks like Emil and Patrick are ready. So we could show you no transitions, a sequence of no transitions, which would be funny. Contrast to all transitions. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Okay, they are ready.
possible. Fan, missed opportunity. Nej, men ingen märkte något, som man brukar säga.
Just to point out the task of doing a sequence with no transition and a sequence of only transitions, they're both impossible tasks. I mean, it's an impossible task, just to highlight that there's not like a juggling secret that you missed. It's just a provocation that's not possible, but it gives an instigation towards a direction. So
And the transition in that sense is like the transition is the movement between tricks.
exactly.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny. It's such a personal relationship to those ideas that, like, when I'm watching Patrick, I'm just like, he thinks that's a trick, or he thinks that's a transition, and not necessarily not in a bad way, but like just in a shocking. Wow, I thought we were on the same planet, but like,
it was also fun when you gave us the task. I was like, no problem, I'll do this. And then as I start working, I'm like, a big problem. Huge
I wanted to share something on these no transitions, all transitions. It was very interesting for me that all transitions, things that Patrick and Emil developed, was what gave a suspended time. So every time they were kind of, and then, and somehow there was this, in my mind as an observer, I could imagine a lot of all the potential things that you could do from there. And now with the no transition, in fact, because the time was so much shorter and compressed, as if I could see you all the time making choices. And it was very complex because it was like all about making fast choices somehow. It was very interesting how I could perceive the two tasks.
Yeah, it's also interesting because these routines we've done for quite a long time. So I think them of one movement in a sense, and then to dissect them, where did this move come from? Was it a trick or was it a transition? Well, where was this move born? Was it, oh, I think it was cool to do the thing. Oh, I have this thing, but they don't, oh, where do I go? Oh, yeah, where does this move come from? Is it a trick or was it more out of necessity to put two tricks together? And it was nice.
And then,
in my life.
And then do you think about like you were kind of gesturing to it, Jay, and you as well, Emil, that you make something out of necessity and then it ends up being a trick?
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. In the moment, you think it's a necessity, but then if you have a requirement to take that thing out, like, then you discover it's not necessary, and like what is left and what becomes possible. You know, you have those assumptions about your work, and then you challenge those assumptions, and then you discover that, you uncover a different way of looking at what you're doing, which I think
And
is
there are different feelings that both possibly connect to the kind of the human condition. That what you can do is one thing, but what you need to do is another thing.
There you go. Yeah.
Talk to, I'm sorry.
No, please go ahead.
Could you talk to the quietness of preparation versus when it's a presentation, there's music?
Yes, I think we can.
As in right now in the studio?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when I was captivated, I'll tell you my bias. I was more captivated by your preparations than I was by the performances.
Sure.
I was literally I wouldn't even go get a snack, And when it started doing music, I was like, okay, I can get a coffee. And that's my.
Yeah, sure. And I think this is what artists are interested. A lot of artists seem to be interested in the process rather than the product. I asked Jay to play music for me to get something about rhythm. I mean, music in general, even without rhythm, helps me focus, because when I practice maybe technique, I have a certain music, so a certain style of music. And then when I create, I have some certain music to block out all the other sounds.
And your Emil, your one especially felt it was intimate with that particular music. That wasn't the music from that piece. That was the stuff that Jay was jamming with.
Yeah.
But maybe it was just because of the sense of orbiting and the slow orbit, you know, of the shapes and all the talk from outer space was part of that.
Hey, Joel, do we want to do another, like, we could try to, I mean, we could do it in a little bit shorter time, but we could do, they could try to do their no transition sequence with Fragment on it to end up the day? Or do you want to, would you rather kind of wind it up?
Well,
now?
I think I just see what the appetite is for you guys, Emil and Patrick. What you feel like talking about something right now? Do you feel like doing something right now to end?
It's your decision.
I think you guys should do it because I think you got somewhere really far with your.
Do it.
But
he did. You mean?
No, I think you. No, on your last one.
Oh yeah, the walking you like that. Okay.
No, just that whole sequence of the no transition was sharp. Yeah, it was like on point.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's throw ourselves out there and look at the fragments.
If you don't mind, I mean, we can just do it on a shorter, like a more chilled out, like 5 minute. 5 minutes.
Open up our collective big fat book.
What's his name, guy?
What you said, Teresa, made me think of an anecdote that Brian Massumi writes in Parables for the Virtual, and it's about the secret power of Ronald Reagan, like how Reagan discovered his charismatic power and became a politician. And he played, apparently in the 60s, he was an actor, and he played a paraplegic role, the role of a paraplegic. And because he had to figure out how to be expressive as a paraplegic, apparently, I mean, that's the way that Brian tells the story, it uncovered a new type of presence that then he used for the rest of his career. It's a little bit like Trump, you know, training himself on reality TV for years before hitting the ultimate reality show, but like back in the 60s up to the 80s. But I really liked how you pointed out the power of the suspension in the transition or in the interval as a key expressive power or moment.
Yes, there's this enormous power on the desire you create on who's observing you, and the time that you give or do not give will have an impact on me as an observer, definitely.
I would find that passage and offer it as a fragment in resonance with.
There you go, man.
The power of the interval.
We have a couple minutes. I don't know, like it's maybe.
I mean, it's not a juggling class.
Too little, too late, but yeah.
What's he saying? Oh, you're not talking to us.
I was just giving the time warning for the show time and no time.
Time warning. Oops, I did it again. I really like the feeling of us all being together in the one hand, but also being in our little workshops of our little docs, and it displays the attention in a nice way. We dive back in together, where we split back out.
Håller du en bild eller? Ja. Fan vad händer? Nej, det gör vi inte där. Det känns så... Ja. Det är fan svårt med texten. Det är inget... Truth. Ja.
Cool. Really good. Just that thing over the head, just to repeat that, like, with something about the grabbing and taking off too. It's, I don't know what the move is. I mean, did I screw? Did you fix it? Yeah. Yeah.
You can sample that one. I think you could be great. Sample.
Yeah. Yeah, we should. It's good. That's funny. Is that new? Huh? What? Was that new? We're just that little, like, under the leg with the back roll?
No.
Okay. That's not new?
No, that's for like years, dude. Last millennium.
Yeah, mine became really, really short.
Okay. We could, I don't know, we could show if you want to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Damn. Wow. Wow, Pat. It's cool, dude.
Do double. Left click.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. You can do it.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Money.
Ah, that's juggling.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin. Matt, you should sell that move as an NFT. Woo! NFT irony is so trendy right now.
That's true.
Iron Y.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
I'm ready to just like
Whip something out. Yeah, it's hot. Let's
I'm ready.
yeah. We're standing in front of the camera. Are we ready?
Yes.
We are ready.
It was the on off the head.
Yeah.
And with the turn. And then it just goes.
I'm gonna do it in a second. Wait, I did it how?
You put it on your head and turn as you took it off. And then you keep turning and go on your head and off.
do it from the beginning, and I'm schmooping.
Okay.
Mer axlar, mindre huvud.
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
Transfer to the BFS.
That ending got people so happy.
That was the
Watching that.
end.
I mean, just working out of the fragment now was way more. It was more. It was giving more than the starting point of it.
Mm.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
close to being without transitions as a starting point. So yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that is that just doing it a few times, you think, or just
what's
different fragments give more? Oh, sorry, I was saying, is that
You'd already done
just hearing what you said?
process, or was it?
No, I
because
think just
it was that actual fragment inspired more.
yeah.
And what fragment were you guys working with?
Oh, we chose the same one again, which is
I didn't. I'll show
Oh,
you.
God.
I'll show you. I'll show you
there.
that one. Okay.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Gayatri.
What's his full name,
Gayatri.
What's his full name, Gayatri?
It's
There.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. How do you spell your name, Gayatri?
Codical, Gayatri, and then Kodikal.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gayatri. So that was part of that incredible moment when you were kind of making this orbital around your head, Patrick. That was connected to the fragment there.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Fucking right. That was an incredible moment, even watching on a screen. It was just, yeah. Oh,
Well, thank Gayatri.
yeah. You guys in collaboration there.
No, it felt like so much inspiration from that one.
So interesting.
Yeah.
No.
Amazing.
It's nice with the opportunity. Reading the text, I thought the first thing we did today with we saw some poems, and it was for me really weird to look at a poem about juggling, written by a poet, someone who worked with words and writes the word juggling when they've seen juggling. Never in my, like, it haven't happened before where I, you know, because every time I hear or read, every time I read about juggling, it's always in another context of, and I know they have different pictures than what we're doing here, and what different than what my juggling is. So it was really cool to see, I don't know, call it modern or whatever, like an updated interpretation of what juggling is. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's interesting. So there was something about the way it imaged back that you knew, you could feel, oh, this isn't like those kind of more uninformed cultural ideas of juggling from the past. This was something else, a bit closer to the ground.
Exactly. Yeah, to what juggling is today, and yeah, where
that's also an interesting kind of effect of a resonance machine. If the audience is also an artist, you know, and giving some expressions back, that's it right there. You gave an interesting kind of, or reason for some of that feedback, you know, be like, which can change, you know, like change the performance moment too, you know, when you have even a sense of like, oh, these three people are in the audience if I'm performing, you know, it will enliven a whole part of my practice, because I'm like, you guys will understand when I do this thing, you know. And maybe there's a bunch of other people that will too, but the fact that I know these three people are going to be there, they're going to get it. So I'm going to reach for it, and there's going to be that ineffable appreciation string that we can connect.
Maybe next time we Fragment, we should like force ourselves to take a written one.
Yeah, maybe next
to
time.
do what? Say it again.
For us being like visual artists to pick pictures, I think.
Yeah.
Or like drawings.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, and it also has me wondering too, and others to jump in, like what it would mean, and how would it be for also you guys to be able to, you know, because we're talking tomorrow about how do we collage these fragments together or take parts and move them, you know, and what would it be for you guys to try your hand at that too, you know, so you felt like, oh, I moved some of these fragments around, or I made one and added it to some others. So that could be interesting, but it all depends on your appetite.
Oh yes.
This discussion we're having reminds me of a story that one of my performance teachers said, and it seems kind of an odd story, but I'll share it anyway. She said that the performance in theater and circus and all these wonderful arts that we do was part of celebration. When, for example, there was a house that was built, or something was built together, there was a collective effort in a village to build something, and then there was a huge party, and everybody had everybody drank and ate and performed all kinds of fun things to watch and dance together. And at one point, the people it would get out of control, and the people with money and power decided that they didn't like the fact that it got out of control. So that's why they built theater, so that people would sit down, there would be an audience, and that the people that were performing would be separated and controlled in some way. And particularly in this time in France here, well, now they're in lockdown again, but for 2 months, everything was open except for theaters and sports, places to do sports. And it seems so odd in the sense that, why do we have to wait? What we're experiencing here in this discussion, we're talking about, you know, how we continue and what this becomes and how it could be. It's such a lovely interaction, which feels more like a celebration and a festival while we're building something together, rather than a separation with seats and a stage.
I would like to respond to that. So I haven't been here for most of today and yesterday, but I thought something similar yesterday. I mean, it was nice to see you guys juggle, but to me it was way more interesting what happened with everybody else on the call. And so broadly speaking, I'm a theater guy. And I have been struggling with exactly that separation between performative intention and quote unquote the real world. And that seemed to have disappeared for me yesterday, at least, which I appreciate a lot. It's almost like in the beginning I thought, okay, I really have to deliver as an audience member. But then after a minute or two, I was like, yeah, well, screw it, let's go. Really something.
Yeah, that was Catherine, I feel like yesterday you also closed out well. If performances are a celebration of something, like to build a house, like what we're building here together, without really the digital analog divide, those are just names so that we can talk about it, but we really share this experience. And I feel like Catherine, both days you've kind of been you've kind of officiated emergently the ending moment where you kind of say, and like this is also an incredible way to say, I just, it fills me with joy to think that, oh yeah, we're building like a house, you know, together, you know, and then we celebrate it with it, and then performance as Erik wrote in there, performance as proof of celebration. There is a lot to celebrate, and a lot to endlessly unpack with these things of the human condition, of the more than human condition, of the things that really move us, you know, and we can't put words on all those, but we can find unknowable gestures that get us there, and then we lose it, and then we go back after it again. And doing that together is super joyful for me. And so it's like another thing that I want to figure out how to write that fragment. I have no idea, but so I think I'll just put in the chat the incredible song by the Cinematic Orchestra featuring Patrick Watson, to build a home. If you know that, so maybe I'll just put that in there, and you guys snag that before we close out so that you can hear it on good speakers, because it's truly worth it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we went to the Zoom audio listening for a piece like that, but huge thank you to all you guys here, the anarchivists and the anarchivists there in Stockholm, Jay, Patrick, Emil, Sarah, Ole. Yeah, really looking forward to our last day tomorrow. And I feel like today's been different than yesterday, and tomorrow will be different, and we are taking shares forward, right? You guys are.
Yeah, thanks to everybody involved. Really appreciate the energy and generosity. So that's really appreciated here in Stockholm. Thanks.